But what if we had the opportunity to actually hear it from someone in person? Would you like to hear that? So you saw him in the video. Could you please put your hands together and help welcome Hezekiah Herrera up here to the stage?
All right. Well, my name is Hezekiah Herrera, and I am the single father of two young children, Mason and Primrose. I'm a teacher, and I first got in contact with Familias a few years ago when I was going through a divorce. Our children don't really have a choice in that matter. And so while I can endure and I can fight to make something work, my children don't have that opportunity to voice their concerns and their feelings. And so you got to make those important decisions sometimes. And that's what led me to Familias, because I saw the impact that piece of trauma was having on our children. And I took some parenting classes. And not knowing how amazingly important it would be and significant it would be later for my own children, but I wanted to be prepared for that. And so I took a class that was talking about positive discipline. And I learned that from the speakers, and including one therapist from ECS, that our children act and have responses based on their developmental level. And so we often kind of think this idea of, and forgive me, but maybe everybody can help me finish this proverb, but, spare the rod, spoil the child. Yeah. And so, I always thought that was how we did it until I began studying a little bit more, and I recognized that the Hebrew word is shavat, and that's the Hebrew word for scepter. And if you recall in the Bible, it's actually Solomon who is writing these proverbs. Mm-hmm. And he's talking not about punishment. He's talking about providing the way in which a child should be instructed to live. And he is talking about utilizing your authority in the way that it is influential in a child's life. So I sought the help that we needed. I was seeing the pain that my children were going through every time we were having to do a transition. The fear that I had was that when my kids asked me if they would be okay, I couldn't promise them that. I had full control over, of course, what happens in my home, but I don't have full control over what happens anywhere else. And to me, that lack of being able to be in control and, as a parent, do your job to protect and safeguard your children, for me was gone. And it made me feel helpless. It made me feel vulnerable, and it made me feel like I was failing as a father. So here's Mason right here, and as you can kind of see from his expression, I'd have to look back, and he was wondering what his future would be, whether he'd be coming home or not. And you have my daughter, too, who was struggling in her way as well at the time. And it broke my heart every time, and I said, I need to do whatever I can to help support them and provide that sense of security that they need. You can see her a little bit disassociated with her cousins here. I wanted her to be happy, but I always saw that she would inflect and reflect and see that, I'm not happy. And it made me feel terribly sad that she would put herself in a corner, punish herself, and it broke my heart. Well, actually saw a picture of him, my son Mason, but one of the challenges he was having was in school, his performance was well below his developmental level that he should be performing at. And I was concerned about that, of course, as a teacher, of course. But I also saw my daughter was having a hard time. But now, here he is receiving an all-star class award for his behavior. And I am pleased to report and say that he is now at above grade level in his school. And as for my daughter, the funny thing, I always say this, tell this story, but on day one of kindergarten, the expectation was that my daughter was going to walk in there nice and well, ready to learn, and the teachers were going to be very impressed by it. But she is now the model for all the other students in the class, and I credit ECS. Para las Familias, for giving me the strategies that we need. I mentioned earlier that it's important for us to be a voice and an advocate when they might be, in this case, in those decisions, adult decisions that we make, voiceless. And it was learning to be an advocate for my child that I took away the most out of that whole situation. And it was the structured environment, the structured play that we engaged in, the TheraPlay, that allowed us to create very intentional moments of interactions and quality relational bonds that created a secure attachment. And I remember asking my therapist, I was worried, I don't know, please tell me there's hope for her, because my daughter at the time, who was struggling with an emotional disorder, please tell me there's hope for her. She said, if there's at least one secure attachment in her life, she will have the chance at reversing all of the trauma, all of the damage, and all of that. So that's the hope that they instilled to me, along with the strategies.
Yep. And I'm not sure if you're seeing the picture back there. We had a chance to talk backstage. While all of this was going on, this gentleman here is actually going for his college degree. So can you tell people about that? I'm like, how did ECS help you? Because with ECS, everyone, it's not just about the clients or the kids or the people who are going through the services. It's the impact or the ripple effect we have on their family and the people around them in their community. So it's not just the kids, it's the whole community. So tell us a little bit about this picture.
That's what actually I had the pleasure and a dream come true to have my children watch me walk across the commencement stage when I was receiving my master's degree. And it was really a great testimony for me to be there in that moment to, thank you, to have gone through all of the things that I was going through and making the time to work a full-time job, and even transition and leave my other job, which of course at that time was much better paying, but I said, I gotta do what I need to do to be there for my kids. Well, I was doing that, and today I am doing my doctoral degree. Please don't discount your being here today, because there are hundreds of other people that stand to benefit to break those generational chains that might keep us bounded down. Because the truth is that many of us seem to struggle with the same challenges that our families struggled with beforehand. And this is an opportunity to ensure that we break those chains, move forward, and reverse the effects of trauma in people's life. And this is, like I said, a direct impact, because you guys were there for me when I thought I didn't have the finances, I didn't have the know-how or the means. So thank you guys very much for that.